Cell member transport oral summary. For this presentation, I will be discussing cell membrane transport and its various types. Primarily, I will discuss the three main types of membrane transport, which are simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and active transport. To begin, let's define the cell member and its purpose. The cell membrane, which is the wall of the cell, is a selective barrier that lets substances go into or out of the cell. These processes can be active in nature or passive. Passive mechanisms do not require cellular energy to take place. These mechanisms can be diffusion, facilitated diffusion, osmosis, and filtration. Diffusion is the tendency of particles such as atoms, molecules, and ions that are constantly in motion in a solution to move from areas of high concentration to areas of lower concentration. These particles are constantly bouncing off of each other and changing directions. The difference between the higher and lower concentration areas is known as the concentration gradient, and the particles move downward along the concentration gradient. At the point where the concentrations become equalized, it is known as the diffusional equilibrium, and the solution is uniform in concentration. Diffusion occurs in a passive process such as simple diffusion mentioned above, or in an active process known as facilitated diffusion, which requires a membrane protein to carry non-lipid soluble solutes such as sodium, potassium, calcium, and chloride across the cell membrane. These carrier proteins are known as transporters that bring larger water-soluble molecules such as glucose and amino acid across the cell membrane. The process of facilitated diffusion can only move molecules from a concentration gradient and does not expend energy in the process. Once the transporter protein has moved the molecule across, it is then freed up to move another one. Osmosis is the movement of water through water channels known as aquaporins and between the phospholipids of the cell membrane. It is crucial to the body's fluid balance. Water moves based on the presence of several dissolved solutes, but not all of them are able to diffuse across the cell membrane with the water. In such cases, these become trapped on one side of the membrane. If there becomes a difference in the concentration of the solute due to trapped solutes, then the water will move to the compartment with the highest concentrations of the solute. Malnutrition and dehydration can affect this process. Factors that can determine how much solute can diffuse across the cell membrane includes temperature, molecular size, electrical gradient, and the cell's affinity for the molecule. In filtration, molecules are forced through the cell membrane by pressure exerted on them. The process is often used to separate out the solids and water. This force can arise from blood pressure caused by a beating heart or filtering by the kidneys of toxins in the blood. Active mechanisms of transport across the cell require cellular energy. This includes active transport, endocytes, exocytosis, and transcytosis. It is similar to facilitated diffusion as it uses specific carriers in the cell membranes, but differs in that particles are moved from regions of low concentration to areas of higher concentration, and energy in the form of ATP is needed. Thank you.